I'm Qurissy, and welcome back to Photographer Life Check, where we check in about all things image making. Today, we have an incredible documentary photographer, writer, and alchemist. Please welcome Cristina Baussan.
Thanks for that very motivating intro.
Absolutely. So let's jump in straight into the photographer fit check like we always do. Can you please let us know something that you're wearing, why you love it, something like that?
Mm. I love that you asked that question straight off, because obviously I feel like when we're about to have conversations that are scheduled, like of course we present ourselves in a way that feels most in alignment.
Mm.
And I usually actually wear two necklaces, but I forgot the other one. And I was coming out, I was on my way here, and I realized that I think it was all for a reason, because this is a pendant that I made. We'll get into all of that later, but it represents my grandmother. So this pendant is actually very important today.
It's so beautiful. Shout out to grandma. We talk about grandmas a lot on this show, actually. So,
Amazing. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that.
okay.
But yeah,
Something for me, I'm in a matching Gap set. I would stand up, but the mechanics of today's setup, you don't want to ruin anything.
keep it simple.
Exactly. But I love a matching jogging suit, so it felt right for today.
Amazing. Love the comfiness of it.
You know? Okay, so let's get into it. Cristina, first I want to start off with your bio. Short and sweet, but I feel like it really sets the tone. Your bio reads, Cristina is a documentary photographer and writer who believes in the power of storytelling to transform inner lives. Drawing from her Haitian, Salvadorian, French, and American roots, her work focuses on social issues related to identity, youth culture, migration, and the relationships we forge with our closest environment. I love it. One, it's so succinct. You can tell you're a writer. You really got it all in there in 2 sentences. You
It
crush.
took some time to get to the short bio, but
Man, it's real work trying to create new bios. My goodness. But one thing I wanted to point out that you mentioned in this bio in particular is that last part, the relationships we forge with our closest environments. In a literal sense, much of your work is a reflection of the literal environment that people are in, whether that's inside of a home, whether that's their entire city or entire country. But I also noticed that I saw a lot of green and blues, which are very environmental to me. And
mm.
I'm curious about like when you were developing your creative process or maybe even your editing style, did you feel yourself drawn to certain colors? Was that on purpose? Is that just the film stock you prefer? How did we get here? And while you explain, I'll pull up your website so folks can see some of your work.
Amazing. Well, I think the word film definitely is one of the first words that came to mind when you asked that question. But I love that you resonated with that part of the bio. I had not read my bio in a long time. And hearing you read it out loud, that's also the part of it that stuck out the most to me. And I think obviously like it has a lot to do with my upbringing, being from so many different incredible places that creates such like a richness in my world. And I think that always comes down to allowing the spaces that I'm in and the cultures that I'm in to also shape my view of reality of the world. But I think in terms of color, the country that taught me how to see,
Hmm.
and I've never really phrased it in this way,
I
but
really like that phrasing though.
it really is. It was my teacher for both light and color. Was Haiti, and I know that
Mm.
we get very deep into that, but I basically moved to Haiti right after college. I had this very random, intuitive ping the day of my graduation, actually, that I just felt like I needed to move to Haiti. My dad's Haitian. I have family that is still currently in Haiti, amidst obviously the current situation. And yeah, I just felt like it was such a strong urge I could not ignore it. And I tend to be a very intuitive person, and especially when I get those very loud pings, it's very hard for me, even though I try to bring up my logical mind and try to talk myself out of it, it's pretty much impossible. So I remember just telling my dad that I was gonna go spend some time in Haiti, and I was lucky enough that I was able to find a program. I was at Syracuse at the time, and Lynn Johnson from National Geographic was leading that program. So I was able to kind of go there with this incredible mentor and structure for my work. And once I got there, it was just pretty clear that that's the place that I was meant to be in, and just started really finding myself as a photographer in a place that's obviously like, I think the word duality is what represents Haiti for me, from the chaos to the beauty to the misery, but also an insane, beauty and just like richness in a lot of ways. And I think I just started to see those very vibrant colors in a place that, in a lot of ways, could feel gray because of, and I say that with all the love in my heart, like being Haitian, and the people that know me know how attached I am to that country.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think starting to see those vibrant colors and realizing that no matter the hardship, that joy can always be present, is how I really started to find myself as a photographer. So it's very special to hear you reflect that back to me, because I think as a photographer, sometimes you just get so into your own work and style and voice that you don't necessarily see those elements come out. And I was working all digital, and then later in my career, I started delving into film. And I think that's when you realize, when you just said like the greens and the blues, like that really started to come out for me when I worked with film. And it's just a reflection of being in the tropics, Central America and El Salvador, where I'm currently based.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just having that color palette of the Caribbean and the tropics, Central America, always kind of follow me around.
Colors are different in the Caribbean. I love being in the Caribbean. It
Yeah.
glows different. Blue is not blue. Green is
Mm.
not green. It's just so much deeper than that.
I love you here. Yeah, I love hearing you say that, and especially because I think the light plays such a big role in the way that we see color and that color presents itself to us. And I found, like, and I remember being in Haiti on assignments or even just working on personal projects in the field, and being in these like very tiny homes in the middle of like a chaotic neighborhood, and just
Yeah.
having these conversations, not even photographing, just interviewing or like having conversations with those families, and having moments where I think I wasn't even honestly listening to what they were telling me, because I was just like in awe of the color of their skin. Like, obviously, black skin is such a beautiful and rich skin for me, and just being there in awe of seeing how the light just brought everything to life.
Yeah. I'm really in awe that you just picked up and moved to Haiti straight out of college like that. And
So am
now that
I.
you're based in Salvador, can
Mm.
you it's so incredible to me, like, you're so awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about the decision? You said it was an intuitive one for you, and that then you got the opportunity to find, like, a program and get some work done almost immediately in that transition. Also
Mm.
considering how we started off, which might end up being the title of the episode, "The Country That Shaped My Eye," like, that's so impactful to
Wow,
that
that
time
gave
in
me
your
chills.
life. Was it like family? Like, was it a feeling of family calling you there? Do you think it was something
Mm.
space calling you there? How was that feeling for you?
Oh, I love this conversation. It's making me reflect on things that I haven't thought about in so long, and that honestly, like, beyond shaping me as a photographer, they've shaped me as a person. And with everything going on in Haiti right now, like, it's been so hard to. I haven't had these conversations with like family or even peers. Like, it's been so hard to really just sit and reflect, because I think there's so much denial of what's happening, and like, yeah, I'll get to that later. But the decision to move, I think it was a combination of family for sure. I grew up going to Haiti. Like, I grew up in France, so that just brings another layer of of cultural identity into my life. But I grew up in France, and I remember going to Haiti pretty much every year or every 2 years for Christmas as a little girl. And I think there was so much to absorb and to take in. I think one of the scenes that really mark me to this day is just sitting in the back of the car, usually in silence. Like, I am a very like introverted, reflective person, and I just really loved sitting in the back of the car, just mesmerized by like the street scenes. And on Sundays was seeing like all the families with their kids dressed in like their best Sunday outfits, going to church. And I think those little images planted seeds of curiosity that I later realized was because my path as a photographer and as a storyteller were going to lead me back there. But also, my grandmother, I ended up, so going back to the theme of the grandmothers, this actually reminds me of my Salvadorian grandmother. And in Haiti, I lived with my Haitian grandmother for the first year or so. And I think knowing that that was going to be my home and that that was going to be my experience if I chose to move there really encouraged me to do that, because I've always been close to her, but I really wanted to, as a woman as well, like as a Haitian woman, like I wanted to understand what it meant to be Haitian through her eyes.
Yeah.
And just, yeah, I'm just eternally grateful to her for opening the doors of her home to me, and like so unexpectedly, and really taking me in. And photographing her at first was impossible every time I would raise my camera, because I wanted to create a personal project around what it meant to be Haitian through her eyes. And it was just, she's been my hardest person to photograph. I was going to say,
Man, what is it about grandmas? So many grandmas don't want to be photographed.
they make it tough on us for a reason. They know that we have that
Literally.
determination to get to where we want to get. And I just kept trying. And sometimes, I would just see her kind of like in her, I wish I had those images pulled up, but I remember like she has this altar in her room, and I would just pretty much always be with my camera. And especially in moments where it was a bit more discreet, I would just try to photograph her in the most like subtle, gentle way. And yeah, I think that was just one of the reasons that I really wanted to go there. And also like professionally, like I knew that it was filled with stories that weren't being told. And this I was to find out later, but I think my internal compass knew that the stories that I was reading about the region and Haiti were pretty much all about the negative part of the country. And I mean, we've had these conversations thousands of times with peers, and El Salvador is the same. But as someone from there and having experienced such a different lens of the country and knowing the amount of humanity and beauty that existed, like I think I just had this urge to go out and do what I could to bring those stories to light. I just felt like I owed that to the country, to Haiti.
I think it's so important. I mean, Haiti gets the shortest end of the stick in a lot of conversation in politics, geopolitics, all the time. I mean, even in identity politics. And I really appreciated seeing stories about Haiti on your website. I don't know a ton about Haiti, but outside of, like, I have a couple other friends who are Haitian, and then what we hear about, like, the devastation that goes on in the country, whether it's a natural disaster or political warfare, it's always something negative. But, I mean, on one level, it just being a Black country, I know there has to be beauty there. So
Mm.
there's something I know I'm seeing. Where we at?
That's the best way to put it. No, and truly, like I mean, just to give an example that just came to mind, but I remember being there when the president was assassinated, Jovenel Moise was assassinated. I was there doing something completely different. Like I was working on a project for a magazine about cigars. There was a company in Haiti that was creating cigars in Haiti, and I was just focusing on that again, trying to focus on culture, arts, craft, history, like just all the craftsmanship that makes the country what it is as well. And I was there when the president was murdered, and the next morning I wake up, and obviously the country is in complete. I wouldn't even say chaos, like that would be my first instinct, but there was this deep, deep silence that was actually even scarier than the chaos that I would know and like the turmoil that I was used to about Haiti, because Haiti was never silent. So the fact that it went pitch silent was very, very powerful and daunting. And I remember waking up and just seeing emails from editors asking me to go out in the field in places where there were curfews and places where it was already a dangerous place to go before the event. And I just remember telling myself, like, no, it does not matter, like the name of the publication or what this would quote unquote do for my career. Like there was just, again, my gut feeling, like my intuition was blocking me from being able to say yes. So I took that to the heart and just pretty much told every editor that I wasn't willing, like I was not prepared to cover that. Like no one knew what had happened, you know, like it just didn't feel like a time to go out and work on those pieces. So just, yeah, it was not the easiest decision, but I decided to do that. And then a few days later, Mallory Benedict, which if she ever hears this, she already knows how much I appreciate her. She was my editor at Nat Geo at the time, and she just reached out to me and she said, like, I know the way that you approach stories. Like, I know that you have a gentle approach to storytelling, that you care about more like the silent headlines. I forgot how she phrased it, but it's something like that. And it really resonated with me, and it proved to me that she knew me so well that I could also trust her with the stories that we
Mm.
created together. And she just told me, like, what do you want to do? Like, how do you want to shape this time in history to be able to tell a story about Haiti that you care about? And that's when my dream of working with my grandmother came true. And I ended up doing a piece and writing a piece about her childhood memories in Haiti and how the country had changed throughout her lifetime to this devastating moment in Haitian history, and also including a 104-year-old Haitian woman who was an incredible person to interview and photograph. But yeah, I think it was just having those editors that really see you for your essence and your vision, and just really honoring that was a real gift in my career. So yeah,
Well, so that's where they say a country never dies came from.
that's very
Wow, wow, wow. This is so incredible.
shout out to
So
Mallory.
I want to pull it back. I have to pull it back up. That's so cool.
Mm.
I'm also curious around a moment like that. One, shout out to your integrity. You had a feeling and you moved in it, and I'm proud of you for that. I feel like more people need to hear, like when they are really strong in their boundaries. And by people, I mostly mean women. Like we're strong in our boundaries of like, actually, this is what's integral to me, and I want to keep this line. You kept that line, and I'm happy for you because it turned into this, which is the story you actually wanted to tell.
That's, I think that was my greatest lesson in it all. Like, even though it wasn't, honestly, it was not that hard for me. There was a moment in my mind where I was like saying no to these publications. I remember I even reached out to a close mentor of mine, explaining her, like, I've been emailed by all these publications that I've always dreamed of working with, and they're asking me to do this. And she was also like, follow your gut, like follow your heart as a journalist and as a storyteller, because they'll move on to the next story. This story is going to remain forever and beyond your portfolio, like in your path and in your heart. um and yeah, I think that was just like my ultimatum of like, just allowing space and patience for what's in alignment to come through. And then Mallory came through. So this is the woman I was telling you about. Yes, the who passed away a few years ago. She was, I believe, 106 or 107 when she passed away. And yeah, just like thinking about the moment in time where we were in, and just juxtaposing that with images like this of just, I see this now and I just think strength, like inner strength. And this woman who has seen the country go through literally every, yeah, just every mountain and journey, and getting to that point in her life where unfortunately the country is not at its best, but still having that like poise. And I don't know, there's like a sense of serenity in her as well.
There is, like, you wouldn't expect what was happening around her was the thing that was actually happening because she
Mm,
appears to be so soft.
mm,
Which reminds me of what you also said earlier in the conversation, just about there's always joy even in the chaos.
mm.
And at this moment when you took this photograph, she was 104.
She was 104 at this moment. And I remember, like, this was a funny story, but I remember sitting down and already knowing her age, and like this was also a lesson on me not to come with like preconceived judgments, because I, in my mind, was like very aware and like respectful and conscious of not wanting to take the interview too far and not wanting to stay too much time because, of her age, pretty much. And she was just like, "What do you want to drink?" And I was like, "A glass of water." I don't remember what I said. And she was just like, "Bring us two cocktails." And in that moment, I was just Like that's what Haiti is for me. It's like the unexpectedness of it all, and also knowing that the joy of being alive, no matter what is going on around you. Like that's what, to me, as a Haitian, but also an outsider because I didn't grow up there, I feel like that's what really helps this nation and Haiti as a whole to move forward beyond the incredible hardships that happen there. Yeah, it's just an incredible lesson that the joy is inside, and it's up to you to surround yourself with that and to express that and to embody that. Really,
Hmm. What a word. Also, thank you for teaching me a little bit about Haiti. And I do want to encourage all of the listeners to read the story. I'm pulling back up right here. You can click that link and read the story that Christina wrote. Now, you touched on navigating conversations. And whether we're talking about this one or anyone really, I'm thinking about other people who are either like just starting or wanting to get into documentary photography. You find yourself either in really intimate places like somebody's home, somebody's bedroom, or really intimate situations and conversations because we're talking about the assassination of a president. We're talking about climate change and how it's affecting somebody's life. There's certain questions you rely on or go to, um, or like how do you navigate conversations in general?
that's such an important question. And yeah, I feel like I actually have an answer pretty much off the top of my head because I just finished teaching a group of students at seven. And every time I'm in a teaching position, I feel like I'm the one that benefits the most. Like I just learn so much from every student that's in the class, and seeing them, a lot of them had already photographed and had already been in the field and were experienced photographers pretty much, but just realizing that they were all working on different projects all over the world with different cultural norms, different, like a work ethic that needs to be pretty much just like, it also has to, your compass has to be very strong to know what you feel is allowed and what you kind of should be more careful with. And I think for me, something that's really been like my guiding star is to share about myself. And I know that as a very private person, like I feel like that was not necessarily something that I expected myself to do, but I realized very naturally that I would be in spaces and be so aware that people, we're the ones that are coming in. And of course, sometimes, and most, I do believe that most of the times, being in these containers as a storyteller and wanting to tell someone else's story can be a very healing process for the other person. Like I think through experience, I've just come to really strongly believe that. But still knowing that, it can be pretty daunting to tell about your life when you're not ready. Because a lot of the times as journalists, we just come into someone's space and someone's life right after something has happened. Like there has been no time to really process. And I know for me personally, having that time to process then allows me to really share from like a wholehearted, like centered place. So I think just being very, very aware of that fragility in a way, and opening up of obviously like something that's related to whatever we're talking about, but feeling comfortable enough to share about my own experience in whatever way it can relate to theirs, so that
Mhm.
they understand and that they feel more understand like they feel like it's a two-way street and that I'm not here to pretty much like extract information. Like it's always been like, what can I share in return that hopefully inspires or hopefully allows them to relate to another human being. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question, but I think that
So, because it's like starting with self. I think also a part of starting with yourself is starting with empathy. You're
mm,
bringing yourself into the situation and trying to relate, being like, "Hey, this is what I have, this is what I see. Can I also get your version of the story, though?" And I like
absolutely.
that. Today's episode is brought to you by Bridges Build Studios. Bridges Build Studios is a creative space where you can host your workshops and intimate events or plan your next photo shoot. This Latino-owned studio is located in the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago, and you can find them on Instagram at Bridges Built Studios to book. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, and I think something else too that kind of goes off of that, but I remember, and again, it feels very different when I'm in El Salvador versus when I'm in Haiti. And I don't know exactly how to phrase that yet. Like, I think there's just a lot of, there's always going to be these like unsaid truths for me in my work that I can't really explain. And I don't necessarily want to. Like, sometimes I just really like to feel the cultural differences and not have to make something out of it. But I know that in Haiti, in a lot of, again, conversations, and maybe it has to do with the language as well, because I pretty much like learned Creole when I moved to Haiti after college, because we were learning a lot of languages as kids, and my dad probably thought they're never going to go to Haiti to live, so I don't really need to teach them Creole. Little did he know that I actually needed it very much. But I ended up learning in the best way at my grandmother's with, you know, the woman that cared for her pretty much taught me Creole. So that was like an incredible experience as well. But all this to say, like, I feel like the language as well, and having, I remember in the interviews that I would do in Haiti, there would always be these very long pauses, and I would feel so comfortable in the silence. Like, that silence was actually so soothing to me that I felt like the longer I just let that be, the more someone would feel comfortable with me and would open up more, you know, because I think sometimes we try to fill in the space, the blank spaces, without allowing that space to have its own meaning and that silence to have its own meaning. And I think, yeah, just realizing that and doing that naturally, I think allowed people to feel comfortable. Because if you feel comfortable in the silence, then you'll feel comfortable in the words. Like, the silence, I think, is the most daunting, quote unquote, place to be in.
It also feels pretty American too, to always be trying to fill a space. And it feels so kind and respectful to do the opposite in a different country and like
Mm.
allow somebody to say more or not.
It's a different rhythm. Like, I feel like there are, like, you know, like, obviously there's rhythm in music, and Haitian music is like, again, and like the sounds of the streets, like there's this rhythm in Haiti that pretty much does not stop. But at the same time, and I see this in conversations that I had, but also my family, like, when they would have conversations, there would be these moments of silence that were so profound. And I don't know if they even notice it, but for me, I remember just feeling so at peace in that silence. And I think it's just allowing the silence to talk as well.
Mm,
Yeah.
I like that. I'm curious around when you're doing a personal project versus being on assignment. Do you feel a difference in how you can engage with your subject? Feel a difference within yourself to be specific?
Hmm. I mean, I think what really the difference that I feel when I'm working on personal projects versus on assignment is a matter of time. And that actually is, you know, like, when you hear photographers, including myself, say and feel it, like having time is a luxury, it absolutely is. Like, we all know that, especially now. It's just the rhythm, again, of assignments tends to be faster than it probably should be, but it's just the way of the land. And yeah, I do feel like within myself, when I'm working on personal projects, again, I'm a very reflective person, and I tend to just need a lot of time in between shoots to be able to process where I want the story to go. And I feel like assignments in a way are good for me, because they force me to just do the work and like create a cohesive, intimate as possible with the amount of time given, but like an intimate narrative of the story. But yeah, I think just personal assignments, it's really where the magic happens for me, because one, obviously you have a lot more autonomy over where the story is headed, and that's why the piece about my grandmother that I absolutely wanted to write, like, it was pretty much like a non-negotiable for me. If I was going to work on like a photography story about my grandmother, I also needed to like be in charge of the words, because in the end, like, the words do guide the story. So I think, yeah, just the word time, like, I think that really is the luxury that you can give yourself as a photographer when you're working on their personal projects, and allowing the story to reveal itself to you instead of just forcing a narrative because you're against a deadline, pretty much, which can unfortunately happen in this field.
Love this. I feel like you've dropped so many bars already. I can see
Well, I'm glad to hear that because I did not know any of the questions you were going to ask. So this is all like immediate channeling.
this is good. That's what I like. That's what I love. But you bring up your grandma again, which puts me back to how we mentioned that you're an incredible alchemist. So you own a brand called Te Siento, which I love the name because phonetically it sounds like it translates to I feel you, which is a
Mm,
beautiful title. But how it's spelled with a C, it would actually translate to 100. So I'm curious, can you talk about why you chose that name and that name play? And I'll also pull up that site.
absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for catching onto that. Like, I think it's not always obvious, which I also it's part of the reason why I like it because I don't want it to be obvious. I feel like nothing in my jewelry work and photography and writing is meant to be obvious. But yeah, to answer your question, so cien obviously comes from the word 100, like you said, and for me, it was really important to capture like my journey into alchemy and into jewelry making. Obviously, was inspired by my background as a journalist and a photographer, and being in the field, and really starting again these like pings that in the moment make absolutely no sense. And again, I tried to like really ignore that for so long for some reason. Like I was so resistant to stepping into this new identity and like artistic expression of myself because I always saw myself purely as a journalist and purely as a photographer until the whisper became too loud and it was just impossible to ignore. And just being in the field, and I think it all came from this sense of wanting stories to be both tangible and timeless and pretty much last forever. And I think that also came from in journalism, which again is one of my first loves, but also feeling that this sense of the stories just passing through our fingers pretty much on publications and just spending so much time working on a piece and putting so much of ourselves emotionally, obviously, like I think every photographer and journalist here can relate to the amount of emotions that are poured into a story, and then to just see it get published on a Monday and then on a Tuesday it's just gone, like it's literally gone unless you look it up or research it, or go to the photographer's website. And there was this sense in me that just felt like I was constantly chasing something, like chasing the next story and chasing the next narrative, that it kind of I was starting to lose that sense of like sacredness behind storytelling and behind narrative. And that has always been so key to me. Like I think as human beings, we're wired for that connection through stories. And yeah, that just started to really become alive to me, that the way of to tell stories that had a timeless essence to them was through objects and through jewelry. So that's pretty much my how the journalism led me to the jewelry. And to answer your question after this long answer, but the word stand comes from 100. And for me, it was just a way of expressing that there's 100 stories to tell and that no one story is truly gonna illustrate who we are as a human being, or even illustrate. I work a lot on custom pieces, and a lot of the work before the custom piece becomes a piece of jewelry, it's like it's a conversation with the person I'm going to co-create with. And there's a lot of just yeah, delving into our own personal narratives and our own personal journeys, and how who we are today is just a reflection of all those small moments that we've lived up until now. So it just felt important to have the cien kind of bring that to life through 100 stories to tell.
Love this. I think that's such a beautiful origin story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a process. Like again, like I think as artists, and I know I'm not alone in this, or hopefully not alone in this, there's a lot of resistance that comes to the light. And the more that I reflect on it now, and of course there's still so much, like I feel like I'm just at the start of Desiento's journey. Even though it's been in me for so long, because I did not listen and didn't take action immediately. Like I feel now that I look back, it's like when you get those strong pings like that's the universe talking to you, and there's a reason for that. Like you wouldn't be feeling that so strongly in you if that wasn't something that you were meant to create. And ironically as well, like I'm just going to share this because I feel like it could be helpful for photographers that are listening. Ironically, I was so resistant to sharing. Once I started to actually sit at the workbench and do jewelry and to create pieces, I would keep it so like on the down low. Like people around me knew about it. People in like my close circle knew about it, and that's how I started growing because they resonated with the pieces, and they would place orders, and that kind of just organically started growing. But in my mind, I was just like, there is no way that I can start sharing about my jewelry on my Instagram because all the editors that I work with, that I still want to work with, are going to think that I am not serious, that, like I don't know what I want, that I've like given up on photography. Like I had all these insane doubts that kept my jewelry in the shadows for so long. And then that was just unnecessary. And I remember one
We do
day,
that to ourselves.
uh,
Why do we do that to ourselves? It's so ridiculous.
exactly, exactly. And this is like, yeah, this was a lesson for me because I remember telling Mallory again, who became such a close friend of mine as well, that I felt comfortable sharing that with her. And I don't know if I've shared this with her, so if she listens, then she'll know it. But I'm grateful to her because, yeah, hey Mal, you've obviously been an incredible mentor on all of my paths, because she told me like, you need to start sharing about this. It's actually amazing for an editor to see that the photographer has other creative outlets. Like it's something that we don't talk about at all, especially not in journalism school. But I think as journalists, like we again put ourselves in a lot of positions and situations that can really drain us. And if you're feeling called to express that through another creative outlet, please, this is my permission to you to actually pursue it, because I didn't for so long, and I feel like I just missed out on those years where the jewelry was so alive in me, out of fear that I would just lose work. And in the end, I actually have editors and close writers who have like ordered pieces from me, so that it's not about the order, it's just about like the fact that these two worlds can collide, like your artistic visions can collide. And it actually, like looking back on it now, I feel like it makes you like even more rich in your work, because when I'm in the field, I get so many downloads and so many ideas on pieces that I want to create from the conversations that I'm having, from again the environments that I'm in. And when I'm at the bench work and just creating these pieces, I also get ideas about the stories that I want to go out and photograph. So it's a constant like dialogue between the two crafts that just really supports your work.
Yeah, they're all related. I love that you said this because I feel like as photographers, we can get stuck in that same cycle within photography. If
Mm.
somebody has an interest in doing weddings and some photojournalism, they're like, I don't know if I can post both, or like, how do I put this in my portfolio? And that's all within the same craft. Like, we have to figure
No,
out how to give our permission.
the resistance is so real, and I think I honestly don't know, and I think it's different for every person. Like we all have our own like limiting beliefs
Right.
that really just prevent us from believing in ourselves in a way, and just also taking a chance on it, and like if it's so alive inside of you, nothing bad can come out of it. Like that's another thing that I've learned for myself. It's like there can be no negative conclusion from something that feels so alive and aligned within you. And maybe it'll take a different form from what you're envisioning, but maybe that form will actually be even more supportive for you. So yeah, I think what we're just trying to say is that whatever comes alive within you, like listen to that, because the world, honestly, and it sounds cliche, but the world does need that,
Hmm.
especially now. And I think we're just seeing the same narratives over and over and over again, and the same photography and the same stories out of the same places. Like there's a time and place for everything, and for difficult stories, absolutely. But I think your work and your vision and your essence as a storyteller and photographer is going to become even, again, more rich from having a craft that you can pour all of that other like creative energy into.
Incredible. Speaking of creative energy, actually, that was perfect. You added a print shop to Desmiento, which I thought was interesting considering. you have a photography website. So I'm curious, why did you add it to Tesiento instead of your website?
That is, I feel like my answer is gonna be actually very boring because it just comes down to logistics at this point. I mean, yes
So
and
real.
no. Like, I think the logistics part was pretty much what ended up um, having my prints mostly on Ticiento, but it's not true. Like, I also feel like there's a decision behind it. And that's been, again, like a conversation that I keep having with myself and going back and forth with, of like, what's the right avenue? Like, what's the best way? What makes more sense? And I've had that conversation inside me for so long that I pretty much just got sick of it at some point, and I was just like, this doesn't really matter. Like, where your work is. I used to have it on my personal photography website, but I think it was important for me when I started to put out my jewelry to create this connection between my jewelry and my photography, and for that to always be present, because I didn't want to just have a jewelry brand. Like, that never really resonated with me, and it still doesn't. Like, I feel like whatever piece of jewelry or object I feel called to create, it's pretty much always inspired by a moment that I witnessed with my camera in hand or having a conversation in the field. So I really wanted kind of my two worlds to coexist under the same roof. Um, and having my jewelry on my personal photography website was not an option. So I ended up just just creating a separate home for this. I think it's just like my more artistic creative outlet, as opposed to like my journalistic work.
Hmm.
And again, like, this is an ongoing conversation and work that I keep having on myself as well, and just trying to just to narrow the resistance when it comes up, because I still teach, like, I still have opportunities to work with agencies like Seven. Like, things that I've always pretty much dreamed of are still coming into my reality, because I am both, and I can be both, and like, so can you. And I think just having those two separate Ticiento and like my photography website just felt like the right way to pretty much have like a container for each. And yeah, my prints, like, a lot of it comes from the writing, like the personal poetic writing that I do, and I just wanted that to kind of live on my other like creative. I guess it's a bit more free. I feel more free on that website than in my journalistic one, but it's not a bad thing. Like, I think having that structure in journalism, and having like the facts kind of like keep me grounded, is also a big part of who I am. And yeah, I'm still learning how to slowly like coexist in both worlds.
That's real. I actually think they work super well together
Mm,
because well, I guess not all of the pieces, but many of the pieces are very rooted in themes of the earth.
mm.
Seeing street photography images like that, or like the images of the beach, it feels super aligned. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great.
Oh.
So I was just curious what you
Wow.
were thinking
Well,
about
thanks
it.
for reflecting that back again. Like, sometimes you just get into your own world as an artist, and you don't really see or know how your work is being read and like resonated with by others. So it sounds amazing that that's how it's landing.
I have another little piece that is just honestly, it felt very romantic to me, so I wanted to bring it up before we go to break.
Amazing.
I was on your Instagram looking at these gorgeous photos, absolutely stunning, and I found this one, and you were reading a book. And in here, let me find the line. You said, "How often we rearrange our mornings to squeeze in one last offering of love." I love the framework of that. It was such beautiful imagery. It inspired me to hit my journal and think about
Mhm.
when was the last time that I did that. So I just wanted to know when the last time you did that was and what that moment was for you.
Oh my gosh. It feels amazing to see that. Can you actually pull it up again? Because it's been so long that I don't even like remember writing that, to be honest.
Christina, you gotta go through your own archive.
I need to do that more, actually, really. And I think, yeah, like the again, like I'm a spiritual person and I do believe in the universe, and I feel like it's always guiding you back to your most authentic self. Like I truly believe that. And even when you make decisions or, spend time in an environment that's not necessarily meant for you, the universe will take care of that and will rearrange that so that you return to your authenticity. And it's not always an easy pill to swallow, but yeah, just all that to say, like I need to go back and scroll through my own Instagram to get these reminders because it's been a while. But and that image actually is one of my best friends. Which yeah, it's just so amazing to see this image. I had forgotten about it. We were on a trip in Portugal. She lives in Portugal, and we just had a little like girls getaway. And I think yeah, that's again when film was such a huge part of my craft and just seeing the world, like intentionally wanting to slow down and see the world through pure beauty. Like that was pretty much my mission, and I'm actually gonna go back to that mission this year because it just felt so grounding. How often we rearrange our mornings to squeeze in one last offering of love? I'm going to say this morning, actually. I had not thought about it in that way, but yeah, this morning, like just obviously like first Monday back to work of the year and really, really again, being intentional, bringing back that word, but like intentionality into my day and realizing that this is a theme that keeps coming up in our conversation, but the rhythm, like I think that word rhythm is clearly going to play a strong role in my year. But I think like, realizing that other people's rhythms don't have to be your own and just staying true to how your nervous system really feels at its best and honoring that and just returning home to you pretty much is I think the theme of this, yeah, of my morning today, and just realizing that I needed some time to have a tea ceremony and to sit and to journal and to just be in my own space with my own breath, like not even my own thoughts, like just my own stillness, was a moment of returning to that love for myself. So I just try to do that every day as much as I can, even if it's for 5 minutes. Just having like that intentionality of romanticizing your life. Like I think you use that word also, but it's true. Like just everything that we do can become a small ritual, And if you really do take that to heart, your life can transform in incredible ways without you having to change a thing. Like you can keep doing exactly what you're doing, just bring the beauty into it. Um, but yeah, wow, thanks for going through my archive and inspiring
Yes.
me to do the same.
Thank you for reflecting that. That's really beautiful. I totally believe in romanticizing your own life. And I'm so glad it happened today. That's so wonderful.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, the universe knew what it was doing, but it's true. Like there's, it was either rush into the Monday of the new year and rush into the to-do tasks, or honor yourself and honor your stillness, and just knowing that that stillness is actually going to create even more momentum.
Hmm.
And it's the slower path, the longer path that I think is always the better one. So we just have to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah. And it's also a reminder that we get to decide. Like,
Mm,
it isn't always on somebody else's time. Like you said, like, everybody's rhythm doesn't match up with ours. And, like, yes, we have obligations. Well, some of us have obligations to particular jobs, got to be there at certain times. You also get to decide. It's like, it's okay if it doesn't happen when they said it happens sometimes.
absolutely. And I think maybe this is a bit of a tangent, but it just came to mind, like even being on assignment, because I think a lot of this intentionality, like it's easier to bring into your life when you can pretty much be in control of your time and you're not out on assignment for like 16-hour days and just feeling like you just can't stand up anymore. Like sometimes that happens because you're just, but I on it, like I feel sometimes in the field, I'm so wired, like I don't even realize how exhausted I am until I actually come home and rest. But I even feel like throughout the assignments and like throughout the days of photographing, when you're taking all of this like emotional weight as well, like again, not in a bad way, it's just, it is what it is. Like you're sharing, you're receiving, you're photographing, like you're being so alert and attentive to every little detail, it's okay to also take a moment to pause while you're in the field. Like this might sound controversial and I don't know if editors will agree, but I do feel like my work has become, or my work becomes stronger when I allow myself that space. Like sometimes I do need to go for a walk by myself for like 5 minutes to just decompress and empty my mind and then return to the scene and keep working, but it's just, I feel like we're not told that enough. Like it is okay for you to take that space when you need it, because if not, your work will not, you won't allow yourself that strength and that inner purpose that you need to be able to produce good work. So yeah, just
So
carry that
real.
with you wherever
Yeah.
you go.
And this is actually a perfect segue. We're going to take a break and give ourselves some space, and we'll be right back.
Look at that.
Today's episode is brought to you by Bridges Build Studios. Bridges Build Studios is a creative space where you can host your workshops and intimate events or plan your next photo shoot. This Latina-owned studio is located in the Pilsen neighborhood in Chicago, and you can find them on Instagram at Bridges Built Studios to book. Let's get back to the show. We're back. So these last few segments at the end of the show are honestly some of my favorites. The first segment we're going to start with is called The Gear Don't Matter, But. We created this segment because we want to talk about the gear that we use. We love the gear that we use. There are tools to create the images that we love to create. But when people meet photographers, they're often, one of the first things they say is like, "Oh my God, what camera do you use?" That, and I think it is fair to say that it doesn't matter what camera you're using. If you have an eye, you can make it work. You can make the things in your head. But like I mentioned, it's still a tool that we love. These are things that we love to use. So I would love to know, what's a piece of equipment that you love? And it doesn't have to be a camera, but it can be.
Wow. Well, the first thought that came to mind was the gear doesn't matter. But I know what you mean. Yeah, and I think I've always been like, since I just remember like my first year studying photography, like the gear has been the last thing that I've ever been interested in, truly. And like it keeps being that way. And sometimes I wish I loved it more, because it actually is like mind blowing, like the
Yeah.
fact that we can capture these moments in time in such a high end way is mind blowing. And I have a very close friend who's like so geeky into this, and she knows so much about cameras. And whenever I talk to her, I'm just like, I love your brain. I'm the complete opposite. Like I don't really care. But all that to say, and I think that's what really led me to film in a way, because like going back to my print shop, it's like all of those images are photographed on, it's all analog photography. Like it's all photographed on film, and I make it that way on purpose because I want every image that I make for that collection to be very intentional. And when I say intentional, like sometimes it can take me like 6 months to make one of those images. And I honestly don't like, I've taken that pressure off of myself, because that's
It's
not what
what it
it's meant
takes.
to be. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
that's what creates the magic over time, is because I don't pressure it. But all that to say, I will answer your question with my Mamiya 645.
Oh,
Like
yes.
that is, and the story behind it as well. It's something that's so not like me, but it ended up in my hands because I was following on Instagram this wedding photographer, out of all people. Like that's never been my field, but she's wedding and like fashion photographer, whose work that I absolutely love. And I just saw one day, she lives in Indonesia. I was living in Paris, and I just saw one day that she was selling her Mamiya, and something in me was like, this camera is mine. And mind you, like this person has like thousands of followers. And by the time I reached out to her, which I never do, but something in me was just like, it's yours. I reached out to her, I think the next day, and I was like, it's probably already sold. And she responded, and she's like, it's yours if you want it. I can ship it out today. And I
magic.
made it happen. I don't even remember like how I got it to Paris, but I made it happen. So yeah, that camera, that camera is very very special to me, and I think has really shown me a language of photography that I keep learning along the way. And it's just because I trust that camera. Like I just have it in my hands, and I just know that we're gonna create magic together. Like it's just not gonna be just me. And obviously the fact that it's analog, that I have to be very careful with every image I make, especially like with the prices of film, like everything is just,
Yeah.
it all comes down to intentionality and thoughtfulness. And that camera is my ride or die. It's a weapon. It's so heavy, and I take it everywhere, everywhere. Like, yeah, that's it.
One thing Mia knew how to do was make a heavy ass camera.
It's yeah, and yet like everyone, like when people travel with me, they're like, "What is this thing?" And I'm like, it's coming, like it's just coming,
It
and
has to come.
it
It's
has
my
to
baby.
come. Yeah, I will carry it. Do not worry.
Okay, our next segment is called Photographs Not Taken. This is folks' favorite question. One of my favorite questions, too. The question is, what's a photograph you wish you would have taken but never did?
I feel like I have so many,
I know, same.
so many. It's so sad. Like there's actually so many images that I wish I would have taken. I think I'm gonna say my most recent one, just because if not, it's gonna take me forever to like come up with another one. And it is like a very symbolic one. But I just went on a trip to Lebanon with my mom, um, and just in and of itself, like having that time with her in a country that's completely new to both of us, and with a culture again like Haiti that is so strong and rich and unapologetically who it is. Like it was just so refreshing to be there. And again, I brought my Mamiya with me on the trip. And I remember the last day we went on a walk. Like we hadn't spoken much that day. Like it was still early in the morning, and I had this very specific image that I wanted to make of architecture out of all things. Like I don't photograph architecture. Like I'm always like connected to nature. I'm always connected to portraiture. Like that's what I resonate with. And being in Lebanon, obviously, like, and Beirut, the architecture there was just so rich in history. And yeah, that was the one image that I wanted to make. And the last day I was like, oh, well, like I didn't find the right time to do it. Like we were always on the car, like the traffic was pretty crazy. We couldn't really stop. That last day, my mom was like, let's just go on this short walk while we waited for her friend to arrive. And we went on that walk. And in my mind, I was like, should I take my camera? Should I not? No, whatever, let's just go. And we went on that walk. And at the end of the walk, I see the image that I've been wanting to make. And that one really hurt, because that was just a matter of seconds. And it might sound, a bit like, I don't know, superficial right now, but yeah, it's just, again, that was one lesson. But it's a feeling that I'm so familiar with, of like, I should have, I should have, I should have. And those should haves, like those are the hardest ones, because it's on you. Like really, when you can't make an image because the person doesn't feel comfortable, or something is happening, like that's a different story. But when it's on you, that one really hurts. So I'm just gonna find my way back to Beirut to make the architecture image that I was dreaming of making.
You have to, but that's in part why I wanted to add this segment, because sometimes it is just, oh, I don't have my camera on me. But I mean, I see images everywhere I go.
Mm.
So it's just like, oh, wow. Like I literally say out loud, wow, that's a lovely photo.
Forever and here. No, it's so true. And I really do struggle with that, because I feel like, yeah, and I think sometimes even when I do, and this is like for my print collection specifically, because when I'm working on my projects, like I think it's very hard for me to miss an image when I'm on assignments or working on personal projects, because that's my one job. Like I'm just there with that one job. So those images pretty much, unless again like the person doesn't want to be photographed, like all those things come into play. But when it's just like me wandering around with my film camera, which I love to do, like that's also just who I am, like my essence of just wandering around and finding beauty and then just expressing that through film and writing. Um, yeah, it's just you just need to always have it on you because, like you said, those moments are always around. And the other thing that I thought about answering really quick when you said, "What's your favorite piece of equipment?" I was between my Mamiya and my iPhone, and I really do not like being on my phone much. Like it actually does not. It doesn't. It's not healthy for me. But again, like I realized on trips like that, like the images that you can make with your iPhone, like it's also an amazing tool. So I think like there's always you can always make an image. That's my point. You can always make an image, even if it's not always the one that you want to make or with the quality that you want to make it with. Just yeah, just have use your phone.
That's also a bar. You can always make an image.
You're good at
She's not
uh,
crazy. Okay, our next segment is for our PLC playlist. We started this playlist in the middle of season one. I feel like music is so heavily tied to creating for me and for a lot of other creators that I know. So, what is something that you're listening to right now? And we're going to add it to the playlist.
something that I've been listening to recently that usually Haitian music is my go-to when I want to reconnect with like my Caribbean roots. But recently, with a group of friends, we were listening to Buena Vista Social Club, and just having those like that Cuban rhythm really
Oh,
just brought the Caribbean girl to life. And it's
yes.
yeah, I recommend it any day, any time of day. It'll brighten it up. Like there's a lot of soul. Buena Vista Social Club.
Okay, Buena Vista is the band.
The band, yeah.
Okay, got
There's no
you.
specific song. Like we were just listening to the albums, but yeah, there's just a lot of soul in that music, and I think that connects you back to your own, yeah, your own inner rhythm again.
Yes, I love this. I'll pick a song and add it to the playlist. This is my kind of vibe. I'm always listening to some Caribbean music.
I
So,
love it. It's like soothing to yeah to me and my cells. I love it.
so I was trying to pick something different because the one that I have, which would be the most true, is a slow song. But that's the truth. It is what it is.
It
So
is what it is.
my song would be Daniel Caesar, Freudian. But there's a specific part in the song right in the middle that I'll add a clip in afterward where it's just he like adds the choir in crazy. It's the most beautiful thing. And it's just had me in a chokehold for like
Oh
the
my
past.
gosh. I am going to listen to that
Oh,
tonight. I think that's a good, I feel like that's a good evening song. Yeah.
it really is. It's so, so beautiful. So shout out to Daniel Caesar for that one.
Amazing.
Thank you so much for your addition to the PLC playlist. And our last segment is called Shoot Your Shot. So this segment is just for you to let us know a company or someone you would love to work for or photograph. Or make a custom piece for.
Okay, that one landed. That one resonated. All right, I'm putting this out. I've already put this out in the universe a few times, so maybe this one
Let's go. Let's add
this
to the
will
man.
work. I want to make a custom piece for Alicia Keys. That would be
Oh
pretty. I
hell yeah. I feel like
feel like right.
something like this.
I think so. I think so as well. Yeah, I feel
Okay,
like
so Alicia, we know that you're listening. We want your people to get in contact with Christina and the Te Siento team to make a custom piece. Maybe a piano, maybe something else. What's the vibe?
amazing. Amazing. Wow. Okay, now I have you to back me up, so that's like
Exactly.
double the magic for the
The magic
manifestation.
that in the ether. Alicia Keys will be in your inbox very soon.
Oh my gosh, I love this space for that, and yeah, it's actually I feel like it's the perfect space to put that out again because yeah, there's something about again like her soul and her essence that I feel like as Caribbean women, like we have something that connects us all. There's a thread. no matter our background and no matter our upbringing, like there's always this Caribbean thread that connects us. So hopefully you hear this, Alicia.
Definitely. Christina, thank you so much. This conversation was literally so perfect. It has brought me hella bars and a lot of delight. Can you please tell the people where you would like to be found?
Absolutely. Well, also thank you, Qurissy. Like it's been such enriching and enlivening conversation, and like I told you over the break, but like it really brought me back to my authenticity and my core, and I'm just very, very grateful to start the year in this way. And to all the listeners, you can follow my work always on Instagram at Cristina Baussan. And I'm going to be sharing much more of my jewelry work this year as well. So if you want to follow along there, it's at te.ciento with a C. Again, on Instagram mostly and the websites. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us on this conversation, and thank you, Carissa, for holding the space in such a beautiful way and reflecting my essence back to me. It's a gift.
Thank you for saying that. I really do appreciate it. You can find us everywhere you get your podcast at Photographer Life Check. That's YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Watch us so you can see all the beautiful work and all of our guests' beautiful faces. And you can find me at Qurissy, also everywhere else. We'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.